Hello, friends, and thanks for tuning into Taste Radio, the #1 podcast for anyone building a business in food or beverage. I'm Ray Latif, the editor and producer of Taste Radio, and with my co-host for this episode, John Craven, Jacqui Brugliera, and Mike Schneider, who is sweating buckets over here to my left because there's a big soccer game on this afternoon involving his favorite team, that of the Arsenal Gunners, and the German Giants of Bayern Munich. Look at you, just hydrating as much as you can right now.
As much as I can, Ray. Look at me sweating buckets right now.
What is that? What are you drinking?
I'm having a local weather. I really like this stuff.
Local weather?
Yeah, local weather in the aluminum bottle can thing here.
And look at that. There's a soccer ball on the front.
There's a soccer ball on the front. The only problem is it's blue. I need a red can.
I'm going to use
this
a word.
This is the wild berry flavor.
I'm going to choose this word carefully. Clowns. Go direct to a random football match. When there was like...
It is definitely not random.
There was like an NCAA women's championship, a men's championship, a goddamn solar eclipse.
We've been talking
we're
about
talking about a random football match.
We're talking about one of the biggest
by the
matches.
time this airs, no one's going to... They're going to be like, what was that?
We should take a survey. Like, I'm very curious about the percentages of like what people care about, like what percentage is like really focused on the eclipse right now versus women's basketball versus.
And then the question for football will be just hard stop, no more soccer, football, whatever.
Let's eclipse John right now.
Anyway.
Okay.
End of rant.
I
did sit in like 4.5 hours of traffic getting home from.
To see a dot.
Just to go stare at the sky for...
so we know what you were focused on. The
90
eclipse.
seconds. Yeah. I mean, I was at a brewery drinking beer too, but we won't talk about that.
I mean, we talked about the NCAA women's tournament for a couple of weeks, and it's a little disappointing. Jacqui and I are sad.
I know. I wanted Caitlin Clark to win, but South Carolina, undefeated season.
Yeah,
they crushed it, and Dawn Staley is like the most amazing coach. So I'm happy. Either I was happy.
She couldn't even speak.
I
she
know.
Was. I mean, She could say nothing. She was so just overtaken by emotion.
It was their redemption
touching.
Year after losing last year. So
very, very impressive sporting events, as in the women's national championship or women's
But who's
basketball
starting
national
for
final.
Arsenal? No, I'm kidding.
That's a good question.
The women's basketball, NCAA women's basketball national championship won by South Carolina. The men, on the men's side, Connecticut went back-to-back with a really impressive tournament run. Yes, the eclipse was yesterday. We're recording here on Tuesday, the 9th of April. The equally impressive eclipse, I guess. But I do want to note...
Mike's retinas are still burning.
I know. I looked right at the sky.
He put magnifying glasses on.
Very quickly...
That's what I thought you were supposed to do. John told me that.
Yeah, Dave.
Very quickly, I do want to note that this afternoon's game between Arsenal and Bayern Munich is part one of two matches.
Yeah,
there are two legs.
So we have to hear about this again.
Yes.
Great.
So this first match is at Arsenal's home stadium. It's a very important match for them to win. And if they don't have a great result, Bayern is going to have Bayern is going to have a significant advantage.
So why is it two matches? Like, is it a series?
Because it's knockout. Yeah, it's knockout round in the Champions League. So you play two matches, and it's an aggregate. So
yes, they aggregate the number of goals. I mean, let's say they each win a game, and they have the same number of goals in the aggregate, then they will go to extra time. If it's still tied, they'll go to penalty kicks. This only happens leading up to the final game. The final game is only one game.
Okay, so they could suck today and still, figure it out.
Yeah, it's possible, but the home field advantage really does mean a lot. It doesn't mean as much as it used to because of away goals. We won't get into that, but anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got to talk about CPG stuff, or we're going to have to change that intro to the podcast for no one with anything useful to do in the CPG industry. For people who are twiddling their thumbs with nothing better to do.
I didn't even get to say we are top of the league. We are top of the league. Come on.
But anyone who is a Taste Radio VIP will know that we do love soccer. We love to talk about the sport from time to time. And if you are a Taste Radio VIP, you will get benefits that few other listeners get. Well, actually, there's a lot of people who listen. We have a good percentage of our folks who listen on a regular basis that are part of the VIP group. But for those of you who are not yet part of VIP, it's very easy to sign up. Go to tasteradio.com/VIP. You'll find benefits, including discounts to trade shows, other events that happen throughout the year, including one that's coming up in San Diego. We'll have fun and exciting ways to incorporate your brand into the show and highlight your products at conventions and trade shows like we just did at Expo West. A lot of the folks that we did highlight on Instagram and LinkedIn, Taste Radio VIPs. Once again, sign up, tasteradio.com/VIP.
And as we like to say, Ray, just for listening, you're already a VIP. We just want to make it official. We want to be able to give you some special attention for being a VIP.
Absolutely. Now, I heard from a lot of Taste Radio VIPs about a recent controversy that's been all over the news. That's involving Momofuku. Momofuku, the well-known chain of restaurants and consumer brand founded by David Chang and helmed by Marguerite Zeber Mariscal, who we featured last week in an episode of Taste Radio. Now, this controversy hits home for a lot of folks because essentially, Momofuku trademarked the term chili crunch. And in doing so, they alienated a lot of smaller brands that use chili crunch to describe their products. Momofuku is being called a bully by some folks, and whether it's fair or not to be called that, the representation of the brand right now and how people are viewing their business practices doesn't really seem to be in the best place.
I mean, Marguerite Mariscal, the CEO of Momofuku, on this very podcast said days before the cease and desist was issued that the rising tide lifts all boats. So, I mean, right there, that's confusing, Ray. It's confusing.
It is confusing, but I will say, look, I mean, Momofuku trademarked chili crunch. They trademarked that term. If other people are going to use it, they have to defend it, right? Otherwise, they're going to lose that trademark. They spent...
No?
Well, you don't think so?
Well, I mean, look, we have trademarks on common things here, like nosh, which is impossible to just trademark the word nosh, right? So I guess my own kind of insight on this is like, yes, you have to defend your trademarks, but you can also kind of work with other companies. So in the case of nosh, like we have agreements with other companies that are using the word nosh in totally different fields because it is a trademark that on its own is sort of loose. And at some point you risk, someone fighting your actual trademark. Now, I would say in the case of this, like from my experience and just, seeing this, I mean, there's probably whoever handles their trademarks that decided to file for it when it was a thing that was pretty, unique and new. And, I think if this were a tiny little startup company that had managed to trademark chili crunch, like we might see it differently. But, David Chang and Momofuku are who they are. They are sort of culinary icons that I think the optics of this, regardless of whatever, the actual trademark law is, it's kind of time for them to just, I don't know, take a loss on this and accept that this is probably something that they should let go and, either have agreements with these companies or just let the trademark lapse. Because I don't think that this is doing them any good to be perceived as this kind of small business, anti-entrepreneur company, when in reality, like Momofuku's CPG company, like is a small entrepreneurial like upstart in itself. Like they're just going to hurt themselves here. So
yeah, I don't see the point of defending a trademark and becoming a litigation company when they have all kinds of great food to make, and so do these competitors. It's also chili crunch. It feels pretty generic, just like, I don't know, aspirin, yo-yo, cellophane, other products that were previously trademarked but then became common use because they're generic.
Right. And I think, look, there are also, like, the last thing I'll say on this is I think, there are scenarios where you would just let whoever's handling your trademarks, like, file for things that they feel are relevant or that you should be protected on. But stuff like sending out, cease and desist and pursuing, like the defense of the trademark, there's no way you just have your, law firm like on autopilot doing that. Like that costs you money. Like those are decisions that it would be impossible to believe that those weren't made at like the executive level. So, I mean, again, they're sort of, I think, getting the backlash they deserve for this. And at some point, like, they should probably either just, apologize and move on, or I don't know.
If it was a mistake, we would have heard something by now, but we haven't.
Yeah, and to Mike's point, like where it's kind of generic, there's also, I mean, obviously the cultural element of it. Like they're trying to trademark something that is almost like a food group for certain cultures. So there's like this, feels like this like cultural insensitivity, like trying to create barriers for like founders to create foods that they grew up with, and to use the name Chili Crunch, whereas they're trying to trademark that and then enforce it. And my other question is like, I guess you want to protect yourself as a brand and you want to submit all these trademarks, but what was even the idea behind trademarking Chili Crunch?
I mean, I think part of it was to differentiate themselves from Chili Crisp, which is a pretty commonly used term as it relates to oil and pepper sauce or oil and pepper marinade seasoning, whatever you want to call it. And to be clear, I mean, I think, I believe that the brands affected, including Homia, including a brand that I hate, Mila, including, this little goat, a lot of these brands that are women and minority owned, I feel for them, and I feel like they should come into an agreement with Momofuku. I will say, however, that, to your point earlier, John, yes, they could choose not to defend the trademark, and yes, they could work with other companies, to allow them to use that term. But had those other companies come to Momofuku knowing that the trademark was out there ahead of time, maybe this wouldn't have been an issue.
I think, some of that, just in terms of the timing of all this stuff, sometimes it's not super easy to fully understand every possible trademark risk that's out there. I think, typically you'd be focused more on like the brand name as opposed to like a product that's just a combination of two words. And I think, having thought about this and looking at the Momofuku product, I have to guess that they're part of, just as a kind of innocuous explanation for like why they trademarked this, is that it kind of felt like they maybe were considering making the actual brand Chili Crunch and downplaying Momofuku, which is still pretty small on there, which is probably not the best, path for them to take. But, it's interesting. I mean,
I have the jar in my hand of Momofuku. Right?
I mean, it's interesting for a company that's really like, hell bent on this trademark. There's no like TM or anything on here, which you would typically do when you're trying to tell people that you're at least in the process of trademarking something. I don't know if it's fully, if that trademark is pending or actually registered, but they have nothing on here.
Yeah, I think a lot of these younger brands are just kind of surprised. Like it just seemed like it came out of nowhere and they weren't expecting this to be trademarked because, again, it seems kind of generic. So I think there's just like a level of surprise and, like kind of just all these brands asking why.
It's not just Caleb and Jen from Mila and Michelle from Homia who are upset. You've got, Jing Gao from Fly by Jing and Vanessa Pham and Kim Pham and Kevin Lee and other Asian founders jumping in here to say, why are we fighting each other?
Yeah, Jing Gao, who is an investor in Homia, posted something on LinkedIn 4 days ago when she said that the Chili Crunch trademark should never have been granted like Chili Crisp, but is a generic and descriptive term for a culturally specific condiment, one that has existed in Chinese culinary culture for hundreds of years. I'm disheartened to hear that Momofuku is using a trademark with a validity that is tenuous at best to go after numerous brands, including small minority and women-founded businesses.
Well said.
Get all that. I do want to bring up, so I had a few different jars of Chili Crunch that I hoarded at home. And,
well done, man.
there's another brand out there. I mentioned this brand, This Little Goat, which is was founded by Stephanie Izard, who is the well-known chef, appeared on and won the competition Top Chef, uses Chili Crunch as a descriptor for her products. Interestingly, though, Now, hold on. Now, John has in his hand a
jar
product,
of Heinz? What
a
is
jar
this
of
nonsense?
Heinz
Culinary Crunch.
chili crisp crunch, whatever you want to call it. But they don't call it chili crisp. They
Culinary
don't call
Crunch.
They don't call it chili crisp. They don't call it chili crunch. They call it culinary crunch.
That is just, that's like a mini word salad of nothingness.
I have to think, however.
I mean, isn't every product culinary by definition?
There's some lawyer out there who came up
I
with
mean,
that name.
no.
Do they have topical crunch too that you put on your skin? Because Mike would like that.
Snacking crunch.
Just as a point, I have to think that the folks from Heinz and their attorneys saw that chili crunch
They're
was
C's
probably,
of attorneys, Ray.
probably
And-
trademarked.
Okay.
Probably
Hold on.
trademarked.
Let's go to the first step, which is the focus groups, where probably they had some people who were like, chili crunch? What the hell's that? What if we call it culinary crunch?
I don't know.
And then the lawyers had their
But
way
then
with it.
there's a statement of identity, too, that is chili pepper crunch on here. And then they also have crunch sauce on the side. Now, what's interesting is this little goat partnered with Hidden Valley Ranch a year ago to create a ranch-flavored chili crunch. I would think that the lawyers from Hidden Valley would also have seen that chili crunch was trademarked and advise them not to use that term.
This stuff looks really good, by the way, this little goat. The other thing about the homia that's interesting is it's sambal, which is, traditional Singapore chili crunch that you can't typically get. It's kind of hard to get. It's so tasty, and she's trying to figure out, okay, where does this fit? What is it? Okay, it's a chili crunch, so I'm going to put it in that category. The point that we always make on the show, and I think the point that Marguerite was also making in your interview with her, was that, the rising tide lifts all boats. So more than one chili crunch means you're taking, these small founders who are building these products, come up with this word that makes a lot of sense to consumers and take share from other places versus from each other. There's one piece of the story we're missing here, though, Ray.
Which is what?
That Simulio jumped in because he's an investor in Mila and wanted to do blind taste tests with people and said, hey, the winner keeps the word chili crunch.
I don't think that's going to happen.
How can you do a...
It's a joke. He's making a joke.
I mean,
Yeah, I know.
you also can't really do a taste test of
Right.
chili crisp, right? You do one and your palate's like nuked.
Exactly.
I could
Tastes
do
the
it.
same after
Jacqui
that.
could do it.
I am very sympathetic to everything that's going on and how brands are impacted by what's going on. I think, frankly, I have to look at this from Momofuku's perspective as well and kind of share my thoughts on what they're trying to do. I would advise them, if I were an advisor to Marguerite and David, I would say, look, maybe it is a good idea to drop this and, kind of create some kumbaya among those makers of chili crunch and chili crisp and call it a day. That would be what I would advise, but it's probably not nearly as simple as that. Anyway, continue to follow this story on nosh.com. If you're an insider, you will hear the full story as it continues to unfold. To become an insider is very easy. To go to nosh.com/insider. The one thing that's missing from all chili crisp and chili crunch products, I think we know what this is an immune function, the functional benefit of immunity. This is just something I never get in my chili crunch, in my chili crisp throughout the day. It just should be in a lot more things. And the way to do so, folks, brand owners and operators, is to incorporate Immuse, IMMUSE, into your products. Immuse is the presenting sponsor of this episode of Taste Radio. Immuse is a dietary and food ingredient clinically shown to stimulate immune function at the cellular level. Incorporate Immuse into your innovation strategy and help your consumers optimize their health throughout the year. Learn more at immusehealth.com. That's IMMUSE health.com. All right, folks, you probably didn't hear the 5-minute pause that we just took because Mike couldn't stop laughing about the product that I want to talk about, which is called gut nuts. Somehow that phrase, he's going to fall.
Triggering.
It's very triggering. He's going into conniptions over here. Gut Nuts is a brand of a product of fermented almonds and cashews from Philosopher Foods. Philosopher Foods is a maker of nut butters and whole fermented nuts. And they recently revamped the branding and package for Gut Nuts. It used to be in a jar, and now it's in this pouch that just looks beautiful. It's in this 3-ounce pouch the label itself looks mad pro, and looks like it would definitely appeal to younger consumers and those that are looking for just kind of a modern take on whole almonds and cashews. I just love this package design. Gut Nuts is like top of the package. Fermented almonds right in the middle, and then you have pictures of the almonds at the bottom. It is just fantastic. Have you tried this, John?
Don't recall.
Okay, you can rip that open.
They're really tasty. I mean, I like anything that's like a little like funky. I feel like they taste like a little funky because the fermentation, and the packaging definitely pops compared to, I think they were in just like little glass jars before. So they definitely have more real estate to work with on the pouch.
Yeah, nuts in glass jars was kind of weird. This is a lot more expected, I suppose.
Yeah, I just feel like this offers them a lot more mainstream merchandising opportunities, as well as those in natural. Just it gives you a better option in different aisles.
Yeah, it looks like they're growing up from like something that's a little bit more craft or farmer's market to something that can hit shelves.
Excellent way to put it.
Yeah, these are definitely pretty tasty. A little tang from the fermentation.
Yeah,
but kind of like it. So
yeah, we featured founder Tim Richards on an episode of Elevator Talk earlier this year, in which he talked about the evolution of this product line. And it was a great episode. If you are listening and you are an early stage founder and would like to join us for a future episode of Elevator Talk, head to BevNET or Nosh.com, search for Elevator Talk and apply for the show. We will get you into a future episode. We'll also put the link on how to apply in the show notes. All right, Mike finally stopped crying. What do you have there? Looks like you have some eggs.
No, I've got some mochi love. Have you had mochi love?
No, but those are. Look at that sample. Look at that there.
This is obviously this is a sample pack of mochi love here, but I've got the mango and passion fruit mochi treats here, and this is you've had mochi before, but the difference between this and what you might have had is that this is refrigerated instead of frozen. So it's got the squish.
It's got the squish. All about the squish.
Squish. The squish is fun.
Oh, God.
Can you see the squish?
Oh my goodness.
Can't take this guy anywhere.
So these are not market ready products. This is not market ready packaging. These are samples here.
That's a sample.
Okay.
But I mean, have you ever watched like Japanese TikTok?
I don't spend a lot of time on Japanese TikTok.
I mean,
no.
just watch Japanese food reviews. Watch Japanese people review food. They talk about different stuff than you talk about. They talk about like oil. They talk about snap. They talk about pop and squish.
There's a lot.
That's
Snap,
why,
like
mochi.
mukbang. Like I feel like mukbang's such a big thing because it's all about like the ASMR of eating. You know, all the sounds
and flavors and mouth. There's so many different ways to describe the mouth feel that we don't use, and I love it. I'm in for it.
I don't think I would like to hear people chewing. I don't think that would be. Is that a thing on TikTok?
Definitely.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. People love it. Like someone crunching into like a crispy chicken wing. You know, that is satisfying. I don't eat meat, but that is satisfying.
Like, and some people you can watch them eat, and it's like that person is a beautiful eater, and then you see someone else eat, and you're like, I can't watch.
Dare I say that is fetishistic?
Is that weird, Jacqui?
I mean, or even people with like the long fingernails, and they're like,
oh, for Christ.
Okay, I'm moving on to the next product here.
Everyone's gone out of their minds.
No, straight to
the
booze.
eclipse made everyone go
Ray's
crazy.
gonna try a little bit.
You don't want to try that, Ray?
No, you gotta
I'm
try.
good, thank you.
Oh, you gotta try the tequila.
So, what kind of tequila? This is not your father's tequila.
So this is Chica Cheetah, which is, I hope I'm saying that right. Chica Cheetah,
yeah,
right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It kind of rolled off the tongue a little weird, but it's kind of same concept as maybe Screwball whiskey, but peanut butter tequila.
It's got like a Madre Mezcal vibe to it.
It does.
From what I understand,
Oh, the peanut butter note on that is.
oh, it's very strong. Yeah, I got a press release about this a couple of weeks back, and this is a spirit that was created in partnership with Sam Hirsch, who is the president and CEO of Piermont Brands.
Smells great.
And Barstool sports personality Caleb Presley, which this is definitely akin to a Screwball type of product. Screwball whiskey is that famous peanut butter whiskey, as John pointed out. It's quite sweet.
It is quite sweet.
Definite peanut butter and a little bit of it's got some sweet notes there's some sweeter notes than peanut butter on the nose and some floral notes. It's really good smelling.
Yeah, the one thing that I'm a little disappointed in, and of course, you'll probably figure out why, is that it is described on the back as an agave spirit with artificial peanut butter flavor. So, wah, wah. Now I'm not sure if any other peanut butter flavored spirit brands use artificial flavors or not, but
does that mean that people who are allergic to peanuts can drink it?
Possible.
Okay, well there's a reason.
I mean, it doesn't have any sort of nut allergen warning, although typically people who are allergic to peanut butter are better safe than sorry type folks, which I don't blame them for. It's interesting.
Yes. Now, Caleb Presley, who I don't know from Barstool Sports, apparently this is a pretty well-known personality, said that, or is quoted in the press release as saying, it's peanut butter, but better, but being spelled B-U-T-T. I say but, B-U-T-T, because Chica Cheetah makes my tonsils twerk and my brain bounce that ass.
Clever marketing copy.
Do you like the way I read that, Jacqui?
Yeah, you're so matter of fact.
With a serious tone. I love it.
I don't think half of those words I ever thought were going to come out of your mouth. So
no, definitely not. Bounce that ass.
Tonsils twerk.
No.
Tonsils twerking.
How about one more? We'll have this Lapos.
Lapos. L-A-P-O''S.
Non-alcoholic Negroni, right up my alley.
Oh, yeah.
Gonna give this a swig.
Nice.
Andrea Hernandez, I saw that on her. What do you drink straight out of the can? None for us.
None for us.
Screw you guys.
Put that on the Twitters.
Delicious.
It's good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it carbonated?
I think so.
Beautiful looking can. It's so.
It's got a little tingle to it.
It is so 1920s.
Did you pour that into the peanut butter?
Yeah. Just to check carbonation.
What do they call that 1920s kind of aesthetic?
Aesthetic, right?
Vintage, old school, retro. I don't know.
No, there's a specific term associated with it. It's like rolling. I don't know what it is.
Roaring 20s, right?
Roaring 20s.
Roaring 20s aesthetic.
No.
Is that what you're going for there, Ray?
Sure.
Okay, there you go. It's
Prohibition era.
It's a really
something like that.
It's a really good looking can, and definitely something I've been intrigued by until John
drank it straight out of the can.
Straight out of the can.
Eight fluid ounces.
I have an extra can. Don't worry.
I'm still intrigued.
Yeah, 8 fluid ounces in a white can with red and gold lettering and imagery. Nice looking product.
Delicious too.
Yeah.
Well, you have non-alc products over there. I have a lot of products over here that tickle the brain. They are premium cocktails and also THC beverages. So I have Wink, which I love their products. Super tasty. I love that they have 2 different formats. So you can either have 2.5 milligrams of THC or you can have 5 milligrams. And it does include CBD too, which I personally have a better experience when you have both THC and CBD in the product.
Wink being spelled W-Y-N-K.
Yes, and it has a little wink on the package.
An eye wink. Yeah.
Yes, an eye wink.
If you didn't see Jacqui in the video, blinking her eye with her finger.
I'm like, that's my wink.
Not to be confused with
My
the
eye
bubbly
needed an
wink,
assist.
though. Does it look a little bit like the bubbly wink?
The bubbly wink? What's the bubbly wink?
You know, bubbly. Bubbly.
Can you John, let Jacqui finish what she's talking about without crunching into your crackers over here.
I'm just snacking, Ray.
I have 2 canned cocktails, RTD cocktails. One is a premium like margarita called Sola, S-O-U-L-A, and then one is a premium sake soda called Soke, which is kind of a fun name. Sake. So cool to see some premium products, premium cocktails, and they're out of San Diego, both of those products. And with all this makes me just think of BevNet Live, because we're going to have a ton of RTD cocktail content, hemp beverage content, also hemp and RTD cocktail sampling, as well as non-alc stuff for non-alc cocktails.
Well done.
We've just got every drinking occasion covered at BevNet Live.
Yes. Everything's going to be packed into the 2 days.
Well, we covered every base there with the lapos, the sola, the sake, and the wink. Well done, Jacqui. And what do you got in your hand there, Mike?
I've got an original sin, which is, it says widow's tea cider. It's kind of like a switchel. It's got ACV. It's got ACV, natural flavors, some raspberry juice, lemon juice, black tea extract, apple juice concentrate, and a little bit of monk fruit. It's pretty tasty. They've got a few different varieties. I like the blackberry the best.
Widow's tea cider.
Widow's tea cider. It's by Original Sin. This one's a Widow's tea cider. The company's called Original Sin.
What was the original sin in the Bible? What was that? Was that eating the apple?
I think it was eating the apple, yeah.
Yeah.
That got deep.
Apple cider vinegar.
John's like, I spent 18 years in Catholic school. You don't want to go down that road. But you do want to go down the road of pretzelized snacks, the crunching.
Sorry, I can't hear you over the crunching.
What is pretzelized?
Pretzelized is a new brand of, I guess there's crackers and sort of chips that are basically described as the marriage of like a pita chip and a pretzel. It's from Jason Cohen, who in the classic sell your former company that made crackers and chips from the ground up is now back with another one. And this stuff, it's really, really delicious.
I mean, he's got another take on pretzels, so he's really good at pretzels. Obviously, from the ground up was and is phenomenal. So why not try something else? This is definitely a different spin. Certainly room for it. And it's funny because he keeps talking about pretzelizing everything. So I made a bunch of AI.
Of course you did.
Pretzelizing buildings, pretzelizing even Formula P, Formula Pretzel Racing, pretzel race cars.
Formula P didn't sound very nice when you first said it, but anyway,
God, yeah.
It's well, it sounds like you guys are pretzelized snacks.
I want to call it pretzelatized.
Pretzelatized.
Yeah.
But these are the cheddar crackers. They have very delicious everything flavored chip too.
I feel like this is just going to go big in the Midwest where they're trying to pretzelize everything anyway, so...
Last thing I want to talk about is a brand that we have highlighted a couple times on this show over the past few weeks, and that is Cocada, which recently sent us their new Dunks products. These are a much better for you version of the classic Dunkaroos products. There are two varieties. One is made with brownie flavored coconut spread and pretzels. The other one is made with their original coconut spread and pretzels as well. So plenty for everyone to have. I already dipped into these, and they are amazing. Great stuff.
I love Bree and Jared so much. They're just super great people to talk to, and it's just been fun to get to know them from, wide-eyed founders with a great idea to now they're just talking business all the time.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch them on Instagram, too, tell the story of, launching this new product and how... the momentum of it has just been insane and that they had to launch it earlier than they expected. I just love watching the founder story and all the chaos that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, it sort of leaked after Expo West and people got really interested in it. And they said they released it 3 weeks sooner than they intended to. And they've just been ah!